what's up, you guys? Week 18 of ASL, the last of second semester. The last 3 weeks have been tutorials, but yeah, yesterday was the real deal. We are getting into it, and my teacher really wants us to get into it, okay? There's gonna be a lot of critiquing, there's going to be a lot of review, a lot of spelling tests. Last night's spelling test just went on and on. Like, usually they're like 10 or 15, but last night it was like 20, and it was like long words, like psychologist. That was a long word. So when I came into the classroom, my instructor had already had some tips written on the board, and I went ahead and wrote them down myself, and they are as follows. 1, what are we going to do? Practice, practice, practice. 2, what are you going to do? You as in me. What am I, the student? What am I going to do? 2 deaf events, at least 2. And so what we're going to do, that's we being all of us, the teacher and the students. What are you going to do as in me? What am I going to do? And then there's what I'm going to do, that I being my instructor. Be extremely critical, says so right there. You didn't really see it, but I wrote it down. Be extremely critical. So what's that going to mean in this case? Well, if we do make a mistake, while it's not the end of the world, she is going to let us know when we do make a mistake. But it's not going to be like, oh, you're not good at this. You'll never be good at this. I've had professors like that, and I can't stand professors like that. Maybe you should choose another study or something else, like, oh, you're not getting anywhere at this. No. She's going to critique us, but it's not going to be mean. There's no ill will, just it's best to make the mistakes now while you're in the classroom. It's going to be like that. When I heard that, I thought, great, I can go ahead and make my mistakes now. We also talked a little bit more about, sign names. Sign names. I say sign names because, they're names that members of the deaf community give people who have been in the deaf community long enough. And there's not really like a set requirement. If you're actively involved and you have deaf friends and you use ASL or hard of hearing friends, depending on what term you prefer, you might get a sign name, and it can only be given by another deaf person. That's sort of what I took from it, by the way my instructor has described it. So that's very interesting. Like, you can't give yourself a sign name if you're hearing. You really shouldn't. Like, it would be like giving yourself a nickname. Like, my name is Lucy. Like, if I were to give myself a nickname like Quince, I once played Peter Quince from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream in high school. Well, if I were to start calling myself Quince, that would be a nickname that only I would know of, and only I would know the reason of. That's no fun, and it doesn't make sense, and the same can kind of be applied to a sign name. Fun factor aside, it doesn't really make sense to give yourself a sign name if you're not deaf and you don't use ASL regularly. In other words, it's one of those things that you kind of sort of earn, in a manner of speaking. So that's something that, it's important to remember when you're learning ASL, whether you're deaf or not. So what else? Next week, my teacher's going to have a syllabus. I can't wait to show you the syllabus. It's going to be interesting. At least she thinks so, and she's pretty much a woman of her word. I I would go to her for anything having to do with ASL. She's been doing this since she was in grade school. I mean, granted, she hasn't been an interpreter since grade school. I mean, that would make it very much sense. But she's been practicing it since grade school, you know. Also, at the beginning of class, she showed us a video of Pharrell Williams' Happy interpreted with signs, and she used the video to introduce a term called gloss. You know how in a glossary you have all these key words from different chapters and pages that you can look up, you know, if you're reading like a textbook or something, or maybe even like a biography or something. Gloss, Gloss, means you're using different signs to say the same thing. Like, for example, you know, Pharrell uses the word happy in happy a lot, you know. But in the video, I'm gonna put the link in the description, by the way. In the video, you know, they don't just say happy, they use other signs like joyful, thrilled, you know, things like that. At least I think thrilled. I'll have to relook at the video. But they use signs that are synonymous with happy. Sort of like how there are signs that mean run, but each sign means a different thing. Like one sign for run means running for office. Another means running as in the actual running, like not walking, but running. Does that make sense? I hope so. If it doesn't make sense, let me know in the comments. But I can't wait for this semester. This semester sounds like it's going to be kind of tough, but not impossible, which is good. You know, I mean, even if it did sound kind of impossible, you know, as Walt Disney once said, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. So that's going to be exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait to continue with the book. I went ahead and read chapter 14, which is all about signs having to do with emergencies, like ambulance, 911, telephone, things like that. You know, emergency signs that you might want to remember during a natural disaster, or maybe just any kind of emergency where you would feel the need to call 911 or just take precaution or just do anything. You know? So I can't wait to go through the rest of these chapters. I'm going to be doing some serious studying. And I might even make videos about the deaf events that I go to. There's one called Coffee Chat that I would love to go to. Later on this semester, I'll make a video. Why not? So I can't wait to get into that. And I will let you know how it all goes starting next week. Later.